The best team the Negro Leagues ever saw against the most overrated players the Major Leagues ever saw? The return of Fernandomania? It can only be the Ducks. Welcome back to the Ducks, or if this is your first video, welcome to the Ducks. Though this is match day 5 of season 2, so where have you been? Maybe check out the playlist to see what's happened, maybe subscribe to the channel, maybe invite Johnny Paprika around to your house for brunch. He loves brunch. And then maybe stick around for this intriguing matchup with me, Hamish Hamden, as the undefeated Pittsburgh Crawfords send Rosie Davis to the mound against the 1-1 6 out of 5s, the most overrated players to ever take the diamond. Roosevelt Davis, or Rosie to his mates, was one of the great Negro League pitchers. He has a 21-year career in which he was known for his spitball. Unfortunately, this illegal pitch where saliva alters the trajectory of the ball is now banned in baseball, and so it's banned in the Ducks. Don't worry though, Davis has a great backup emery pitch, by which he filed the ball to get a better grip. This pitch is also banned, so it'll be interesting to see how he fares in this stupid modern world where you can't spit on the ball, you can't file down the ball, and you can't play the shift anymore. Baseball's gone soft, I tell you. Let's get to the action and see how he does. Top of the first, and Davis strikes out Soriano. Ken Community is up and close but no cigar. Ken Community is down. And of course you'll all understand that Ken Community once attempted to open a cigar bar in New York, which is why that reference worked so wonderfully. Davis is having no issues adapting to throwing legal pitches so far, but Bernie Williams hits a 2-out single and that brings up Joe Carter. And Carter doubles that pitch from a Rosie to seal a 1-0 first inning lead. The Crawfords' offense has been good in the early part of the season, and so they're not concerned going 1-0 down. We pick things up and they have runners at the corners with the heart of the order and no one out. Fernando Valenzuela gets Gibson here on a flyout, but he still has to face Oscar Charleston, one of the greatest Negro League players of all time, and okay, he strikes him out too, but he now has to face Pat Patterson, who ground Grounderson's out, and like a man sheepishly emerging from a swimming pool of Smuckers, Valenzuela gets out of the jam. This is typical Valenzuela though. Mike Brito, who scouted him, was drawn to his ability to get strikeouts after falling behind 3-0 in the count, and he figured he could become a pretty decent major league pitcher if he could, stop falling behind 3-0 in the count. He was a good hitter too, once hitting .304 in a season, and he demonstrates that here in the top of the third with a lead-off single. Soriano makes up for his strikeout to start the game by also singling, so we have 2 on and nobody out for Community. 2 and nobody out was the exact same situation we just saw the Crawfords in, and they failed to score. Can the Sixers do any better? Community gets that cigar with a double to make the score 2-0. They'd later tack on a sac fly and have a 3-0 lead. We're going to go to the bottom of the 6th now, just to show the end of this second coming of Fernandomania. Yes, years before Vince McMahon welcomed us all to WrestleMania, Fernando Valenzuela won a World Series Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and defeated Roddy Piper in the main event, all in the same season as Fernandomania swept LA. We haven't seen his legendary screwball, a legal pitch it should be noted, Rosie, in the majors for 25 years, but he dominated today. This RBI single from Bill Perkins being the only run he gave up before turning it over to the bullpen. Top of the 7th, and as that Sixers bullpen was looking to pad their hold and save stats, the offense decided to take that from them by acting like a toddler with an expensive heirloom and breaking this thing open. The bases are loaded, Rosie has been snipped from the game, and Baines grounds into a fielder's choice. Ha! You thought with that setup there was going to be a home run, didn't you? No, the scoring here comes from walking. Bertram Hunter is on the mound, and in his later career he moved to the Dominican Republic where he was nicknamed King Kong by the locals. King Kong may be a classic, but what we're seeing here is the 1976 remake. No heart, no soul, no strike zone. He walks in 3 before the inning is over, and the Sixers lead 6-1. Watching players walk isn't too fun though. We know Doug's viewers want to see a long ball, so we'll jump to the 9th and oblige. It's 6-2 now, and Harold Baines crushes one. Shout out to Baines. Last year he had both heart replacement surgery and kidney surgery. He came through both with flying colours, and he's crushing home runs for the 6 out of 5s. He was also good at small ball, with Bill James, the father of sabermetrics, once describing seeing him drop down bunts that would melt your mouth. a PG phrase that sounds R-rated the more you hear it, and it's R-rated viewing for fans of the Crawfords, as first Soriano and then Community get RBIs to put this game well out of reach. The Crawfords dropped their first game of the season, as both teams now find themselves with a 2-1 record. Fernandomania 2 was a big success. 6 innings, 1 run and only 1 stadium. And Baines now has 2 homers in 3 games. For the Crawfords, on the other hand, the bullpen was an issue. Hunter and Bell may sound like a company that creates sophisticated fashion wear, but there was nothing sophisticated about giving up 7 runs for only 4 outs. We're not done though. This is the Dugs and we love a doubleheader, so it's time to toss it over to a man who enjoys his steaks very well done and drenched in ketchup. It's Johnny Paprika.
The good news for the Cincinnati Reds is that they've only given up 6 runs in 2 games. The bad news is that hasn't been good enough to net a win in either of those 2 games. Further bad news is that we evaluate the success of the teams in the tournament based on wins and losses. Just a quick note, I changed things up and saved one of my favorite stories for the post-game portion of this video, as it didn't really make sense to insert it anywhere else, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Getting back into it, the Reds have another decent opportunity to limit the opposing team as they send Hall of Famer Tom Seaver to the mound, and the Diamonds in the Rough are coming off of a game where they struck out 17 times. They just need to hope someone has snuck Jobu and some incense into the locker room. George Foster brought the incense. That's a 2-run home run off of no pushover in himself, Fergie Jenkins. So Seaver's got a lead to work with, but the bases load up after Harmon Killebrew takes a walk to give Joe Torre a chance at the plate. It looks like he botches it, but Seaver was a huge fan of his work at the helm of the Yankees and says, let's keep this one close. 1 run scores and the Diamonds add more in the bottom of the next inning. Tony Gwynn singles to tie the game up, and perhaps Seaver begins to crumble under the unbearable pressure of the Dugs experimental baseball tournament. Lajoie walks with 2 outs. Mike Trout follows him with a walk to load the bases. And this walk to Harmon Killebrew, his second of the game, gives the Diamonds in the Rough the lead. So Seaver's walked 5 on the game and has made a crucial error. He might be getting nervous about retaining the moniker of Tom Terrific. He was so bound to the name that Tom Brady was denied the trademark for it due to potentially falsely suggesting a connection with Tom Seaver. Why this ever turned into a fight at all is beyond me, when the name all stemmed from an older cartoon featuring a hero named Tom and what appears to be a dog that is absolutely blitzed out of its mind. Well, anyhow, Brady couldn't use it, and so we at the Dugs had to resort to our second string nickname of Floppy Balls Brady. Let's jump back in. The Reds have advised Tom to stop walking people, and he listens. Ernie Banks singles. Fergie Jenkins his opposite number singles, scoring a man from second to widen the lead to 4-2. Tony Gwynn has a single for him. After a Ray Knight error at third base, Nap Lajoie singles to make it 5-2, and that chases him out of the ballgame. Meanwhile, Fergie has settled down after the first inning home run and hasn't given up anything else here in the 6th until Dave Collins takes him deep to lead off the inning and make it a 2-run game. He bounces back, however, and gets both Dreesen and Concepcion to strike out and escape any further damage. And to back him up, the Diamonds in the Rough pretty much put this one away in the 6th. Mike Lacoste comes in relief of Seaver and was doing a great job in his 3rd inning of work, but the key word is was there. A triple by Joe Torre scores 1. Ernie Banks bags himself a 2-run home run after him, and then Scott Brown comes in relief in the 7th. The Reds are likely just looking for some mop-up duty here, figuring they're out of it, as they select the pitcher out of the pen whose one and only year at the major league level was in 1981 when he only pitched 13 innings. He doesn't quite mop it up, he just kinda spreads it around the floor a bit. Paul Goldschmidt adds a 2-run home run in the 7th, and later that inning, Luke Appling one-ups him and goes for a 3-run shot. This was an absolute drubbing, which is a heartbreaker. Not only do they fall to 0-3, but they also get a -12 hung on their run differential as the game ends at the final score of 15-3. They're going to need some dominant wins in the second half of the group stage. Meanwhile, the Diamonds in the Rough are now sitting pretty, largely due to the performance of their pitching today. Fergie Jenkins had a solid outing, going 7 and striking out 7 while surrendering 3 runs, and when he came out, Chris Archer came in to close out the game with 2 scoreless innings. Lajoie has been one of the tournament's toughest outs to get, as after this game, his average will be sitting at 500 and his on-base percentage is at 600. It's almost like he has a bone to pick. That was a transition. Did you like it? All you need is an obvious wipe, and yes. There we go. This story is insane and probably deserves its own video, but I'll try and do the quick version. So the year is 1910, and Hugh Chalmers, CEO of the company that would eventually become Chrysler, has declared the batting champion that year was going to receive a Chalmers 30 Torpedo Roadster. Ty Cobb and our boy Nap Lajoie are the ones going neck and neck all year. The whole league seems to be rooting for Nap, even some of Cobb's teammates. Ty Cobb had this maniacal need to succeed that just rubbed people the wrong way. He was rumored to sharpen his spikes and attempt to slash people with them when stealing bases, and frequently got into fights. It's possible that this insatiable need was somewhat driven by an early childhood trauma where his mother legit blew his father's head off with a shotgun. You see, he had lied and said he was going out of town, but then snuck back at night to investigate whether his wife was cheating on him. Not sure if she was or not, but if she was, it likely spoiled the mood when she mistook her husband for an intruder and shot him right in the face. So Cobb's got some baggage, and he wanted the title so badly that, feeling good about his current numbers, he sat both games of the doubleheader that constituted the end of the Detroit Tigers season. Oh, and by the way, he wants the title so badly despite the fact that he literally already owns a Chalmers 30 Torpedo Roadster. Enter Nap on his last day, who also had a doubleheader because I guess that's just what you did in 1910, which makes sense. What else are you gonna do? They were still 18 years away from sliced bread. He started his day with a triple, helped along by the outfielder losing it in the sun, and followed with a single. Then things get a little shady. Jack O'Connor, manager of the opposing St. Louis Browns, starts telling his infield to play deep, like edge of the outfield deep, all the while fielding an inexperienced ball player at third when his normal position was short in Red Corridon. This was purported to be a favor to Nap to try and get him over the top for the batting title. Nap takes this move as an invitation to bunt and nets a bunt single in his next 5 at-bats, bringing his total to the day to a perfect 8-8, placing him ahead of Cobb. Now I'm getting a bit of a mixed story on what happens from here, so I'm going to lay it all out on the table and take it all with a grain of salt. One of Nap's bunts was ruled a sacrifice, so that deprived him of a 9th hit. One of his bunts was poorly played by the third baseman and thus was ruled an error, and therefore would actually be scored as an 0 for 1 that at-bat. After an investigation, it sounds like the net result was verifying Lajoie's 8 for 8, which would place him ahead of Ty Cobb by .001. Everyone starts congratulating him. But wait, it turns out that some scorekeeper screwed up and only counted one of Ty Cobb's games in a previous doubleheader that occurred 2 weeks prior. Those extra at-bats put Ty Cobb back on top. And somewhere in all this fracas, both Harry Howell and Jack O'Connor get banned for life from baseball. Turns out they had both been involved in attempting to bribe the official scorekeeper, E.V. Harris, to be kind to Nap in their official scoring, who may be male or female, as I seem to be getting mixed signals from different sources, and they attempted to bribe him or her with a suit or new wardrobe, depending on who you believe. Mind you, O'Connor and Howell were both members of the coaching staff for the Browns, not even Lajoie's team, which really lends some credence to Ty Cobb being as hated as the legends would have you believe. It's the hardest I've seen someone try to get another person into owning another car that didn't look like this. Well, eventually both players were given the car on the account of what I imagine was everyone just giving up, having no clue what actually happened that season. But wait, there's more. In 1981, the world finally builds back the motivation to look into the league's various scorebooks, receipts, and statistics jotted down on the back of napkins, and the Sporting News reports that Ty Cobb's 1910 average was incorrect. One of the box scores was actually counted twice for Cobb, the result of which would have actually had Nap Lajoie edging him out for the title. So, naturally, Nap, who was long dead by this point, was exhumed from his grave and given a ticker tape parade around Cleveland. It being Cleveland, no one in the city noticed anything out of the ordinary. That does it for these games. Coming up next time on the Dugs, someone's gotta win! We'll pit the winless Black Sox and Expos against one another to force one of them out of the board. Ken Hill goes for the Expos while Lefty Williams gets the nod for the Black Sox. Also, someone's gotta lose! The 2-0 too soon send Mark Fidrich to the mound when they visit Club Snub and Tommy John. As always, if you enjoyed what we're doing here, leave us some comments, like these videos, and get yourself a shiny free subscription to our channel, as that's the most likely route to the Dugs becoming a thing. And that does it for me. Next up on the Doug Sports Network, bees. We ordered just a crap ton of them, rented out a warehouse, and we're just gonna wing it. Should be exciting. For Hamish, I've been Johnny Paprika, hoping all your balls are fair and all of your wood is good. Good night, everybody!